What is the oil? Speak up, guys. You know what it is. It's an Ultrasol. Yeah, it's an Ultrasol. Okay, but what's the diagnostic surface horizon?
It would be ochre, because I don't think it meets the darkness requirement for any of the others.
You got it. It's not thick enough. So it's 23 centimeters thick, based on what I've got here. If it was 25, I might think it's coming close to being dark enough. I think it is dark enough. I think it's a 3-1.
Pretty dark.
So we've had a lot of cases where we have dark surface horizons that push us toward either Mollisols or it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't change. It wouldn't be a Mollisol. You know, I was wrong last week. You know, I said in my email, I said that it would be, they created a Mollisol. Well, I was right in that they have created a Moloch epipetide. The reason why I know it's Moloch, because number one, it's thick and dark enough. But I know, based on what I know about flush dairy manure, that they dump a lot of calcium carbonate with that. So the pHs are going to be naturally high. Flush dairy manure has a pH, would have a pH of 7 to 8. So it would have a base saturation. You dump in so much calcium that would be a Moloch epipetide. But somebody said it wouldn't be a Mollisol, and that's right. Why is that, James? It wouldn't likely be. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a Mollisol, but it's a good chance that it's not. I have no doubt that it's a Moloch epipetide. But why might it not be a Mollisol?
So what did you say about the base saturation? That's the,
well, I'm talking about last week.
Right, well, it says a Mollisol has to have a base saturation of greater than 50% throughout the soil.
That's right, yeah. So last week, unless that was true in that soil we looked at, then it wouldn't be a Mollisol.
It would be an Inceptisol.
It would be an Inceptisol, that's right. But if it happened to have a base saturation high enough, it would be a Mollisol. Yeah. So they've changed it from an Intisol to either an Inceptisol or a Mollisol by their practices. Right. Here, it doesn't quite make it, but soils come awfully close to making Moloch. Having Moloch epipetides. The soil at I'm gonna make you guys remember back to Devil's Den, and of course we had this year we had weird soils at Devil's Den. In past years they haven't been quite as weird, but I've seen soils at Devil's Den that look sort of like this, and they had limestone, the overlying limestone, weathered limestone, or sometimes actually hard limestone. So we know that the base saturation is high. And I've seen soils there with thick enough, dark enough surfaces that they would have a Moloch epipetide and they would be Mollisols. That would be horrifying to people in the Midwest who think that we're not supposed to have Mollisols in Florida. And the other thing is that's kind of a anomaly in that most Mollisols in Florida, and we do have Mollisols, most of them occur in very wet conditions. That's because in order to retain calcium to still be in the system, unless you have limestone underneath, you're not going to have enough calcium with depth to keep the base saturation high enough that it's going to be a Mollisol. But if you're in South Florida, around where limestone is fairly shallow, and you got very wet soils and dark surfaces, and they are Mollisols, and there's a pretty good distribution of those in South Florida. Anyway, this is an Ultrasol, and we have an ochre epipetide. And I guess that resolves it for now, because we haven't got far enough in taxonomy. We can talk about anything else. Basically, I think you guys sort of see where I saw the seasonal high. It's teetering around what? 90, but about 92 or so, somewhere in there. Yeah. I wanted to go talk about the implications of John's data here and the phosphorus index. Let's go over the leaching criteria. You guys remember this from last week, right? The leaching criteria? They are, if we have an argillic horizon shallower than 50 centimeters, then we have very low leaching risk. If we have an argillic horizon between 50 and 200, it's low for phosphorus. That's the way it's written. And yet, we said two things. We said that arsenic and phosphorus have similar behaviors from a standpoint of their reactivity or their sorption characteristics on soil materials like metal oxides. And John says that 9 meters down he finds arsenic. And this is unsettling to me. Number one, because I was involved in some of these things in development of that index and leaching risk. In fact, I was one of the people who stressed that they needed a leaching risk, because many people think phosphorus doesn't move at all. It doesn't leach, it only runs off. If anything, this certainly reinforces the idea in Florida that phosphorus can leach. But what's amazing to me, at 9 meters, arsenic, and this is an ideal soil, this would be a low leaching risk for phosphorus. But arsenic has moved 9 meters. And I don't know what to make of it, folks. I mean, I guess the only thing I could say is that when you're dumping out flush dairy manure, I hope they're not concentrating as much as it was concentrating arsenic above that vat. I mean, that is a lot. I mean, this soil should be one of the best soils in Florida for retarding arsenic or phosphorus vertical movement.
All depends on hydraulic conductivity of the soil.
Yeah, well, it's moving. They're putting it on so fast and so much that they are actually pressing it. I guess there's a kinetic factor too. You have, opportunities for it to diffuse and get to surfaces. If it's moving too fast and you put so much on, that high concentration, then you're just not, the retardation is just, it's not sufficient. That's all I can say. I can't relate that to, we don't know what they put on. That's the other imponderable. We have no way to ever know how much or how fast they dumped it. But we do know, we have objective information, we have direct observations that it's getting to 9 meters. So, just to throw it out to you folks to think about. But we would consider this to be a low phosphorus risk soil. And why would we do that? Because we got green coating. Look at this stuff. This soil is well coated. We got about 95 or 96% quartz sand. But on that quartz sand, what do we got? We got about half silt and half clay. You guys say, well, how do I know that? Well, I'm making it up.